Yo, what's up, everybody? Good morning. I'm Bob Walters. This is Locked Up Sports NCAA Tournament Day 1 recap. Not a very exciting day, right? Not many buzzer beaters or crazy upsets. Your brackets probably survived Day 1. I know mine did. Nobody lost a Final Four team or something like that. Nothing wild happened. There was a couple upsets. There was the 12-5 upset, like I told you, with Mcneese State, and that always happens because the committee looks to beat the 5 seeds, and they might have another one today with Colorado State. They almost had one late night in the last game with UC San Diego coming up just short of Michigan, 68-65. There was a furious comeback there. You had a couple surprises with Louisville getting blown out by Creighton, the 8-9 game, and the 8-9 games seem to be mismatches because Gonzaga, another one. And I told you, watch out for Gonzaga, that they were underseeded, and they were, because they came out and they were up 27-3 in the first half against Georgia, and that's an 8-9 game. That's supposed to be, the two teams in the bracket, in each bracket that are closest together, 8-9, and it was 27-3 to start for Gonzaga, and the game was over right there, 7 minutes into the first half. St. John's, they played okay, right? Not a great first half, but it's what they've done lately. That's what St. John's has done. They've come out, they played kind of slow starts. They don't hit their shots. They let the other team get a lead, 5-7 point lead. You started to worry a bit, and then they kind of came back. They took a lead before the half, and then at the second half, they came out and they just played St. John's basketball with a smothering defense and just overwhelmed Omaha. And then St. John's got to be careful, because you could get away with that against teams like Omaha in the 2-15 game, but now it gets harder. And you got Arkansas, who beat Kansas, and you got Calipari. They're a well-coached team. You know they're a well-coached team because it's two great coaches with Pitino and Calipari going up against each other. And you're not going to get away with these, just lazy starts, not hitting your shots, taking bad shots, letting the other team score, letting the other team get a 5, 7, 9 point lead. One of these times that's going to come back and bite you. So St. John's got to get off to these good starts. They got to stop with this, just lazy start is what I would call it. But they did get the win. They overwhelmed Omaha in the second half. They came out and it was just, in the second half, St. John's smothering defense, blocking shots, hitting their threes. They took like 32 3-pointers, I think they took. Not going to win. That's not winning basketball for St. John's. But like I said, their talent overwhelmed Omaha in the game, and they were able to do it. Here's what Rick Pitino had to say after St. John's first NCAA tournament win since 1999.
Played particularly well because they're a tough team to guard, because we played great defense and kept giving up. Got them to take a lot of bad shots, and we didn't chase the loose ball rebounds. And what I told them, basically, they're going to see a team the likes we haven't seen all year from a size, athleticism standpoint. And if we rebound like that, we're going to have a long night, so we've got to do a better job. We can't give up 24-second shots and play great defense like we did.
So he basically saying what I said. You got to get out there and you got to play in the first half. You can't get out there and do what you've done and just rely on your talent to take over and dominate in the second half. Because one of these second halves, you're going to have a bad shooting half where the other team's going to be just better, and that's how you lose in this tournament. Like we said, a good day for the Big East. Creighton, win. St. John's with a win. 3 wins for the Big East yesterday. Houston, the 1 seed, overwhelmed SIU and Gonzaga in the other game in that bracket with the 89-68. That was 27-3. Another game which was the 12-5 upset. Mcneese gets their first tournament win in school history. Now, the story with Mcneese is the coach is leaving. He's going to NC State. He's basically told you that. He's told everybody that I'm leaving. It's no secret. He said when the team does well, the coaches leave. When the players do well, the players leave. It's just the nature of the beast. He's going to NC State. A lot of people thought it'd be a distraction. Turns out it wasn't. They beat Clemson 69-67, and don't let that score fool you because that was a blowout. Clemson scored 13 points in the first half. They scored like 50-something in the second. 54 points in the second half. And they scored like 30 of them in the last 2 minutes. So the score looks like, tight game, good game. Mcneese survived 69-67. No. That thing was a 15-point lead with 2 minutes left. They were up 21 points at one point in the first half. They ran Clemson right out of the building. And now they get Purdue in the next round, the 12-4 matchup, and that's going to be a good game. Purdue, you will watch. I have Purdue winning the whole thing in one of my brackets, and Purdue could go out. Watch out for Mcneese. Coaches playing with house money. The players are playing with house money. A lot of them are going to be, hightailing it out of there too, because when the coach leaves, a lot of players go to schools because of the coach. So there's that. Kentucky today. UCLA with a win. A lot of people, including myself, had UCLA losing to Utah State. Not even close. 72-47. A blowout win in the 7-10 game. Tennessee, easy work of Wofford. They win by 15 in the 15-2 over there. And like we said, Arkansas, 79-72. Arkansas trailed most of the game in the second half. They were down, and then they took over. They got a lead with about 2.5 minutes to go, and they never gave it up. Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. Texas Tech had a bit of trouble in this one. It was a 14-3 game with 5-6 minutes left. That game was close. It was tight. It was a two-point game. But Texas Tech, too much, and they end up winning by 10. Drake with an 11-6 upset over Missouri. 67-57. They will get Texas Tech, and the winner of that will move on in that St. John's bracket. Now, I'd say you root for Drake. You get the 11 seed, but Drake's a tough team. Drake is another one that was probably underseeded. They got a good coach. He's another one that's probably going to be leaving the mid-major, going to a Power 5, maybe Iowa at the end of the season. After they finally lose, I don't know who you want. Either way, it's going to get much, much tougher for St. John's. They should beat Arkansas. Now, Calipari, of course, is a great coach. It's Pitino, Calipari. St. John's should win that game. They're a better team. They're more talented. The defense should overwhelm Arkansas. But, again, it's the NCAA tournament. It wasn't a wild day, which means we're due for a wild day today. Now, UConn and Oklahoma today is an 8-9 game. I got Oklahoma. I got UConn losing as they start their defense of their two-time title. Trying to go for 3 in a row. It's not going to happen, but that's an 8-9 game. Now, like I said, the other 8-9 games were mismatches. UConn's a 5.5-point favorite here today. I think Oklahoma beats them. I don't think UConn's a very good team. I see Oklahoma advancing there. Florida will play today. They should have no trouble with Norfolk State. Other games today, Illinois and Xavier. Xavier, the 11 seed, coming out of the first four, coming off a comeback win. They like a lot of times these teams will win because they got a little momentum. That was a good game by Xavier. I could see Illinois going down and another win for the Big East, which is already 3-0 in this tournament. So, good day for the Big East. Good first round so far. Kentucky and Troy, the 3-14. Kentucky should win this game. Troy, I don't know much about Troy, but Kentucky should win. And then Xavier or Illinois will have a chance to advance to the Sweet 16 because I think Kentucky might only win one game in this. And that's Gonzaga's bracket too. Gonzaga, I'm telling you, I have Gonzaga in the Final Four. They blew out Georgia yesterday. They're undefeated. They got an easier road than some people do to the Final Four. Watch out for Gonzaga. Watch out for Gonzaga. I'm telling you. What else we got today? Today, other games today. Memphis, Colorado State is the 12-5. Colorado State is actually a favorite in that game as the 12 seed. Everybody loves the 12-5. And I told you, the committee picks these games. They're trying to beat the 5 seed. And they've done it once already yesterday. They might do it again here in this game. Maryland and Grand Canyon. I got Grand Canyon in this one. I got Maryland being beat. Listen, Maryland's a better team. They got better players. But in this tournament, you got to go with some upsets, some big upsets. And we didn't get many of them yesterday, which means we're due, and which means we will probably get some today. So, all in all, a rather low-key day one of the tournament. Day two today starts off 12 o'clock again. Another 16 games played today. And then we'll be down to 32 teams starting Saturday, Sunday, and then 16 on Sunday night. Like I said, a lot of fun. Again, day two today. UConn in action, Florida in action, Duke in action, as Cooper Flagg has been cleared to play. It looks like he's going to play. I wouldn't play him today. I would sit him in this game. Should be a full slate of games. It should be fun. Watch out today. Today could be your wild day since yesterday was kind of low key. And you know we get him. You know it's coming. You know we're due for it. Again, our episode with C-Mac, Chris McMonagle from WFAN is out, so check that out. Make sure you check it out. It's on YouTube. Also, on anywhere you get your podcast, don't forget to give us a review. Hit the review button, subscribe. Every little bit helps. Enjoy day 2 of the NCAA tournament. It starts in just about 2 hours. I'm Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studios. See ya.